Welcome, folks, to July 15th, 2021 PowerShell Community Call. As Steve just said, we do have some time today for some extra community demos. So if you are thinking there's something you want to show off, something cool you've been doing out in the ecosystem, couple minutes towards the end of the call, feel free to post in the chat. We'll get that going when we get through this agenda here. So unfortunately today I am not able to share my screen for various reasons, but I am posting the link to the agenda here in the chat. So this is going to be what we worked down. Feel free to post questions there as well. We'll be monitoring that. And so, yeah, just looks like some folks already dropped in with a couple. We're starting off here with an update on 7.2. We got a number of new features checked in there. Steve, you want to take it away?
Yeah, so I expect that we'll probably have Preview 8 coming out next week. We're still doing kind of like some last-minute work trying to get some pull requests in, even though .NET 6 Preview, I think 6 that they're on, is out. So hopefully we'll get that out next week. But I want to kind of just show some of the stuff that's coming in. So let me share my console window, or my terminal window. Let's see if this works. I think it's this one. All right. Can someone act that they can see it? And I'll make it bigger.
Looking good. Yeah, definitely bigger though.
Even bigger? If I make it too big, I won't be able to. All right, is that pretty good?
That's fine, yeah.
All right. You can kind of see this dev pwsh thing I have in my prompt tells me that I'm running a build from building off of the master branch. So this is post 7 pre 8. All right. So one of the things that's been asked before is to fix how we basically do JSON serialization for datetime. So if you get, let me just show this real quick. Oh, actually, let me open a new window to show what it looks like in the current state. So then it makes more sense. All right, let me see. All right, so if I do get date convert to JSON, then what happens is that PowerShell actually adds some extended types to help with the formatting when we present it to the, to the console here. And this gets serialized with the data. So basically, when you now do a convert from, you actually don't get just the datetime, you get all these other members as well. So this fix here was really just to fix that situation where you can do a round trip, because it is a little bit smarter to know that those extended members are actually not interesting for the purpose of JSON. There's a similar change that was done for strings, but it's not really worth showing. It's basically, if it's a string, we just pass it through. If it's a datetime, it pass it through without any extended types or members. Let's see, detail view. So
and just really quick, Steve, what if somebody wanted those members? What is there a way to still get those?
No. So if there's a scenario where you need it, I mean, I guess you could. There may be some other way. Now that I think that the discussion we had in the committee was that there wasn't a scenario where people would want those. But if there is a scenario, then just open up an issue. I want to understand what that is, and we can figure out if there's a workaround or some other way.
Sounds good.
All right. Let me see. So error view was the next one. So we have this new concise view that was added in PS7. So one thing that I added recently, and this is based off of some discussion with the team, where in CI when something fails, now if you're by default it's concise view, so you just get the single line. You're really missing out a lot of information about what happened. So there's a new detailed view now, where if I do something that causes a problem, you get the full get error context. And I don't expect people to use this interactively. I mean, you can, but where this is most useful will be after 7.2 GAs, and we can get, like, for example, Azure pipelines and GitHub Actions to update to 7.2. Then we can set detail. You can set detailed view as your default, so that in your script, if anything fails, you'll get like the full information. You get the detailed exception, you get the stack trace. So this will make it much easier to figure out what's going on, where you don't necessarily have a repro after it fails the first time. I'm going to set this back so I don't see that if I make any mistakes. Okay, next one is, this is a really cool change that Ilya did. for supporting tab completion on views. So a lot of people may not know that there are some views that are provided by default. A view is basically a different way to format something. So let me see. So here I'm using the main complete capability in PS3 Alignment. Basically, you can see like what we ship with PowerShell itself. There's actually multiple ways of displaying process information. Some of these actually don't. I mean, I think in the future we may have to reevaluate how useful these are. But the key thing here is that you can now tab complete, where I think before you kind of just had to know what views are available. So I'm hoping that with this change, it actually makes view much more useful, and we can definitely add more views. And I think a lot of this can be done as a community module as well. But definitely, just having this tab completion means that you can have a new set of different types of views for tables, lists, wide, or whatever the case may be. And being discoverable means users are more likely to use it. So I think this actually creates a big opportunity to have more views for formatting. The last thing is file info colors. So if I just do a dir here, get child item, you can see that by default now directories have a distinct color. And then PowerShell scripts, and I'll have one here, but if I go into test PowerShell, let me go into engine, keep going further. Like all the PS1s, PSM1s are now yellow. And if I go into PS Home, and unfortunately you're going to see that we have some problem where we probably shouldn't have all these DLLs set for the execute bit. But anything that's executable is now green. I'm on a Mac OS machine, so, and then on Windows it's going by extension. So all this is customizable. So this is an extension of the PS ANSI rendering experimental feature. So you can see here, this is the original thing. This is building on top of that, called PS ANSI rendering file info. And again, this is all customizable. So if you don't like the choices I made, and again, please open up issues to discuss this feature as well as the defaults. I chose the defaults primarily from ls-color, or this is on Mac, so it's gonna be different. So just see now. All right, I'm used to the Bash Unix one, but anyways, come back here. What was that, Jim?
I think it's capital G.
G. Why is it G for colors? Anyways, oh, okay. So I don't know what. Okay, so I was using red for executable on my Mac, and then it looks like folders are this dark blue. But anyways, we can debate on the actual default color choices. But the point here I was going to show is like everything is customizable. So if you prefer to just say directory equals, if you just want this to be bold and maybe italic, then you would do that. And then now if I do dir, and let me go back to smaller folder, then you can kind of see that it's made it bold and italic. So it's really up to you how you want to change that, or if you don't want anything, then PS-Style already supports. Oh, we don't have that fixed yet. I think it's plain text. Then you can just get plain text for everything, and this will just strip all the ANSI anyways. So we have a few other things that might come in, but these are the ones that are already checked into the master branch that will be part of Preview 8. There's also a bunch of other bug fixes I didn't show, and a lot of other quality changes as well. But this is the main updates I had for 7.2 Preview 8 that should be coming hopefully again next week.
So Steve, you had a couple questions here in the chat.
Oh, sure.
So one was actually from Rob asking if we're auto-converting the output string of the datetime to a datetime object, or if that means that we're, are we breaking from the idea that convert from JSON should always return a string as output?
Convert from
like when you actually did the convert from there, yeah, did that?
Yeah, this is a datetime, because JSON knows this is a string that represents a datetime, so it is round trippable. Is it concerned that it should just be a string?
Possibly, but I think we can probably take that offline because it's Rob here.
Let's take it offline.
Sounds good. Joel Bennett was asking if we touched datetime offset or if we are still stuck in the .NET 2.0 era, as he asked.
As it's related to this change, there's no touching of datetime offset. So, Joel, if you had like a specific scenario,
he posted an issue here where there's some details, so
okay,
we can take a look at that one maybe after the call.
Basically, it should serialize the same way as datetime does, and it doesn't, or rather deserialize. Because if you return a datetime offset from a remote right now, what you get back is a serialized, or rather a deserialized system.datetime offset instead of a datetime offset.
I see.
That's
right.
all.
So in other words, you want the same behavior that you're seeing here in terms of auto serializing datetime if you get that from a JSON
and in
object
particular from remote boxes, because the methods, like the methods that are on datetime offset, are important and useful. And if you don't get them on the things when they come back, then you have to manually cast the thing, and it's harder than manually casting datetime because you have two sets of ticks that you have to cast. So it's kind of a pain. Anyway,
got it. It makes sense. It makes sense.
I think since we made this change, I think it makes sense to also look at the offset. So I'll take a look at that later. I don't know if it will show up in Preview 8 because we're kind of buckling down on the changes we're taking for that, but it'll show up in Preview 9 hopefully. All right. Any other questions? Let's see. Would like to see
the red triple tilde highlighting the position message so that you can find the problem line.
Oh, dang it, I turned off my, yeah. What did I call this thing? Dang it, I think I called it automatic. We need to get this, I think there's a PR to fix this other problem where you don't have to have completion on members for enums, but anyways. So are you asking for this section, the position message?
Is that Keith Hill where you're asking for the red to be red?
Yeah, just basically how in the concise view you get a sort of colorized output in the sea of text of details. It's great to have the details, but it would be nice to have that, like that position message is one of the most important things we want to look at first. Right. What line of code did it error?
So perhaps that and maybe this message, which is what's being picked up for the concise.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you, can you open an issue?
Sure.
And then we can, because I want to get some other feedback, like, does it make sense to just have those? Or like one of the things I definitely want to avoid is having a huge rainbow of colors where now the colors becomes more of an impediment than being useful. But
Agreed.
I can see what you're saying, like making it easy just to see the most relevant information. So
exactly.
And maybe you can just make it user customizable by adding another PS style member to, so let's have that and we can discuss that. That's easy. It's an easy change. It's a question of whether or not we should do it.
Absolutely.
Anything else? Maybe add some like extended properties. Yeah, that was debated in the original issue, and I think we'll
cross that bridge if someone has a valid scenario for that. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I want to keep it moving. Right. Travis, do you want to talk a little bit about Microsoft Update and how that's working awesome?
Yeah, we last preview we released a update. There were some minor issues. We've resolved those. We'll release another update again for this next one. For this update, the enlistment, the way to enlist to get to try it will be the same. We have a blog out. You can go to the PowerShell blog and see that. But I've also checked in a change in the MSI, which will allow you to opt in through the MSI. And so if you, going forward after you install this update, you will get updates to the previews through Microsoft Update if you opt in through the MSI. So going forward, everyone can get the update. So I think we're doing well. So yeah.
Sorry, my machine is dragging here. But yes, this is, I tried this out when we first shipped it for 7.2 and I did the manual registry opt-in, and it is unbelievable how quickly it updates. I haven't hit the scenario yet where you may need a reboot, or you are still kind of testing for that, and that's why it's really helpful for people to go and try this out so that we can understand, how many reboots are being impacted here. If you have PowerShell running, when you go to do that update, you're potentially going to get hit with that reboot flag. But if you do not, then it's just going to silently update in a couple seconds, which is super duper awesome. As Travis said, it's also way easier now. If you're one of these people like me who's clicking through the interactive MSI to install it on your dev boxes, you can just check a box and you're going to get the reg key that's going to opt you into updates. So definitely give that a try. I will post the blog link here in the chat as well as into the notes. So if you haven't checked this out yet, it's going to be easier than ever on the next preview. So yeah. Moving right along, Paul, you have an update on a new release of Secret Management. You have Paul.
Yeah.
There he is.
Okay. Just switch gears here. Yeah. So Secret Management, if you recall, we've had a preview version, version 1.1.0 preview. And I talked about it a little bit last time and have a blog article about it. And the reason we went to a preview is that there's a small-ish breaking change, potential breaking change in the change that we've made. So we've had it out as a preview for, I think, over a month now. But anyway, and I'll paste that into the chat so you guys can see the information. But in any case, we're just getting ready to move it from preview to just a regular GA release. So it'll move to 1.1.0. I think this week, if not this week, then early next week, we'll publish it as a non-preview. And if you want more information, you can ask me here, but I'll just start by pasting a couple of links about. So I wrote a blog about the change, and also
put the link to your blog post. So.
Okay. Well, there's also a change log too that you can take a look at, because the blog post talks about kind of the hosting change that I made. It's a technical blog and the potential breaking issue there. But also I posted a link to the change logs. There are a couple of other changes that went in to the 1.1.0 release. And if you have any questions, just let me know, or you can communicate through the GitHub repo through issues or discussion.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Paul. Looking forward to that. Secret Management has just been chugging along. We're seeing tons of usage out there in the ecosystem already. Module usage has been upticking. So definitely, if you haven't checked that one out already, 1.1 is as good a chance as any. So moving along here, Unum, can you give us an update on PowerShell Get 3.0?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. So Steve introduced me earlier, but I'm one of the newer engineers on PowerShell, working on PowerShell Get, and I just wanted to give an update on where we are with that. So at the last community call, we kind of mentioned that we're doing a refactoring for PowerShell Get v3, and we had planned to continue refactoring the find PS resource, install PS resource, update PS resource, and save PS resource commandlets. So those were the action items we had last month in the community call. So since then, we have merged in find PS resource, and install, save, and update are very close to being done. We're basically just going through and just doing some bug bashes and figuring out or just resolving any issues. But that code is soon to be merged in, and then we're pushing to do a release in the next couple of weeks. So just kind of keep your eyes out for that. And then we'll also do a blog post when we do a release. Yeah. We're also going through and any issues that are open on the PowerShell Get repository, we're also taking that into consideration as we're refactoring the commandlets.
Awesome. So you're saying next couple weeks, folks should expect a new preview here?
Yep, that's the goal here.
Awesome. Awesome. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. We're trying to get that to GA probably this year, I'm thinking, Unum, like fall time frame. And then do we have any thoughts around the 7.2 shipping as well?
Cindy might know a bit more about that, but I think once we do the preview release, we could probably get some feedback, and then I think a GA shouldn't be too far out.
Let me cover that real quick then. I think the main thing that's kind of holding the decision is really compatibility. Like we want to make sure anyone that installs 7.2, if it came with only v3, they don't get broken. So we do have the compatibility module to cover that, but we really need to kind of validate that a user with v3 with the compatibility module who has scripts that depend on v2 won't be broken. So once we have the next release out, hopefully we can start getting some user feedback. And also hopefully people on my team can start updating their repos that depend on v2 to use v3 instead. I think based on that quality feedback, then we can make a decision whether or not we want to try to get it into 7.2 or not, because we are starting to run shorter on the runway for 7.2 release, as we don't want to make any big changes as we start thinking about a release candidate towards the fall. So hopefully, but we want to make sure that we have the right quality. So if it doesn't make it, then 7.3.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, keep in mind that even if it's not in, we will ship it on the gallery, so you can always install it.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really looking forward to that. They've been making killer progress on that. Those commandlets are definitely non-trivial in making sure that those are robust in every kind of use case. So please give that a try. Pull it from the gallery and file issues for us. Awesome.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Thank you. Continuing on, Jason, you have an update for Crescendo Preview 3.
Yeah, thanks, Joey. Hey, everyone. Apologies for the lack of a camera today. Hope you're enjoying the summer with friends and family and barbecue. And while I've been soaking up the sun, Jim Truer has been locked away and hard at work. So I'm excited to let you know that in about a week or so, we are going to release a new preview 3 of Crescendo. Crescendo, of course, helps you rapidly develop PowerShell commandlets for native commands. And I want to give you an important note. This will be a breaking change from our other previews. The reason for that really is we've made some schema updates, primarily to handle multiple command definitions within a single JSON file. We've also included some new output handling options to better build objects from those native command string data. And remember from our previous releases, we've also got native command elevation going for us. So we're very excited about this preview. I look forward to sharing more of the details when we get closer to the announcement. Like I said, probably next week when the announcement blog goes out. And there's one other thing I just wanted to mention. My friend Aditya has also been hard at work during the summer on our next Preview 2 release of Platyps v2. Platyps helps you to easily edit a markdown and transform it into updatable help. And I'll have more about that towards the end of the month as well, or in our next community call. So Joey, and with that, everyone have a great summer. Be safe. Don't climb any ladders, that kind of thing. Thanks, Joey.
Thank you, Jason. I'm trying to see here if we had any questions in the chat, but was there anything major for Platypus 2.0 that folks should expect to be trying out there? Like anything in particular?
Yeah, well, we're definitely adding in some more of the commandlets to work with Platyps, but I think what's most important is there's a lot of requested fixes to both the markdown schemas that we've been using in Platyps that we have in, and some of those nagging issues that some of you have reported, we definitely have in this preview. So I'll detail that for you in the blogs. I think you'll be very happy with these results that we've already started testing out in our own environments as well.
Awesome. I don't know how I lost the agenda. Here we go.
Hey, let me just add one thing, Joey, before we move on to the next item.
Mm-hmm.
For those that aren't aware, like Platypus is the tool that's used across all Microsoft teams that publish PowerShell modules to transform much more simpler Markdown help versus the XML format to get updatable help. So, and it's also intended to be used by third-party community members as well. So.
Yeah, and this is, you should see this is kind of been a gradual thing, and Jason's updated on this before, but they've been doing a great job of kind of keeping, bringing more and more of the internal PowerShell modules at Microsoft into the fold. to kind of standardize the way that documentation is done, and to make sure that all those, the reference is up to date and being kept up to date as new modules get updated. So, there's a lot of progress we've been making in terms of having a more unified approach to PowerShell reference docs. So, Platypus has played a very instrumental role there, and it works great for the community, as Steve said. Awesome. We got a question here in the chat. Oh, here's the link to the detailed error view. Thank you, Keith. That's very helpful. Steve will take a look at that, I presume. Awesome. So a quick update from Danny on PSARM, which Justin Grody was asking about in the question and answer. Take it away, Jason, or Danny, excuse me.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, folks. We don't have a ton to share today, but we've been working super closely with the Bicep team. And I'd say expect an update in the next few weeks. And at that point in time, we'll have a more broad update to share.
Yeah, so we've we've seen a lot of momentum coming from the Bicep folks, and we've seen a lot of you out in the community, looking towards Bicep, and so we really want to make sure that we're taking as much advantage of the momentum that's coming from Bicep as possible as we work towards a kind of a unified effort. So I am picking up some mic stuff. That might be you, Danny, but do you have anything you want to add?
Remute.
Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. We had one more thing. Oh, we had a demo from Steve on the almighty CoPilot. You want to show this off here?
Oh yeah, I forgot I was going to do that. I was hoping someone in the community would volunteer, but let me.
Yeah, again, if there are any community demos, anything anybody wants to show off, feel free to hop in the chat now. Happy to.
Just gonna open a new VS Code window to do this. All right, let me share my screen again. It's this one. Where'd it go? All right, let me make this bigger. And yes, I will. Yes, I trust that these are my stuff. All right, you can ignore this. That was something else I was working on. All right, so leader. All right, so there's been a lot of discussion, especially on Twitter, about this new feature from GitHub called CoPilot, this new extension. And I just wanted to show, I'm not going to talk about any of the licensing concerns, but I just want to show how this works with PowerShell and also how it works with Markdown. So let me just create a new file here. I right click. I think I have to do it in a folder. Oh, I have to do it this way, new file. Oh. I think I can do this. All right, let's call this, I don't know, demo.ps1. All right, so now I know this is a PowerShell script. Now I'll get out of here. So let me just start by doing, all right, we're gonna get first. So you kind of see like,
Might make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah,
Steve.
sorry. I said I was gonna make it bigger and I forgot to do it. And I probably don't need this to show it all. Okay. So anything that you see in this gray text is actually coming from CoPilot. So it's already kind of trying to predict what I'm gonna type as a comment here. I wasn't gonna see it later, but I was gonna say process. All right, so now I can do like get, let's see when it starts. Ignore these other tab completion stuff, that's just normal. Unless this is gonna be one, okay, so it's already kind of predicting. It didn't actually predict right because I was trying to get the first, I was trying to see whether or not it would, I didn't have anything pre-planned, by the way, so this is all kind of live. And I was trying to see what CoPilot was gonna tell me. But you can kind of see it's already predicting something here. That's not actually what I wanted, so I'll just do this one.
You got a little typo in there.
Yeah, I see that. And then let's put this in. And of course, Script Analyzer is going to complain about me. All right, fine. I'll just type the whole thing out. All right, I'll satisfy Script Analyzer. All right, so if I do $P, let's see if this is going to work. Usually I get more predictions here. Well, it's predicting else string, which is not what I intended, but I guess I didn't give it any more information about what I was going to do. But you can kind of see that, and that's kind of a weird prediction as well. But you can kind of see that it's doing like predictions off of what other scripts have done, open source scripts on GitHub. So apparently a lot of people like to use the select object expand for a lot of these things. And then if I were to accept it, I can just tab over the whole thing to pick up the whole thing. So this is a very simple example. Let me just open a new file. Yeah, I was actually more surprised by the markdown demo.md. I'll hide this real quick. So here, let's see, this is a demo. And then I can say show some PowerShell. No, I wouldn't say code, I was going to say script. And then I'll say this will get some. So you can kind of see it's doing well. It's not. It doesn't have enough information to see what I'm trying to do. Let's see the information. And then, but it's already predicting that I'm going to have a PowerShell code fence block, which is pretty cool. So then, well, actually, oh, that's cool. So maybe I'll use this one. If I do a pipe, it's already going to pick up some other stuff. If I do a period, see, it's already now. In this case, I'm just randomly accepting its prediction. It's not actually, I had nothing planned. So, but then if you do something else, like, I don't know, here you can see, and it's kind of interesting because this may or not be what I intend. But again, I had nothing planned here. It's all kind of just random typing. But it's pretty cool that it actually is producing somewhat reasonable predictions in both Markdown and in the PowerShell code fence section. So I just think it's really neat. As far as how productive it's been, like for me right now, it's more of a novelty than a tool I use all the time when I'm writing my scripts. But I have it enabled in VS Code, so it just shows me stuff anyway. So anyways, that's really all it's going to show.
Yeah, Justin has a cool set of creepy examples as well. Stuff working really well and predicting the right thing. It's definitely, I mean, there's some rough edges. I haven't played with it too much, but it is still pretty incredible just how much good stuff is there. But definitely, like anything else, you're copy pasting off of Stack Overflow. Always make sure that you're actually understand what the code is doing before you're going and deploying it into production. Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the prediction. Yeah, the comments do help. It seems to be that like writing pseudocode helps you kind of.
No, that's what I tried with the comment about getting the first process. I was really hoping it would predict the pipeline to get the first process, but it didn't in this case. But maybe it will in the future now that I've started training it. But who knows?
Awesome.
I believe
Keith, yes. CoPilot is still an invite-only beta. I think it's a get in line type thing. If you put in, sign up for the. I will post a link here. I completed it, then I didn't hit the right button, so it was GitHub Cop, which is the scary thought. I think who's policing GitHub? I guess we're the GitHub cops. All right, here's a link to the preview. So definitely, if you've not gotten in line yet, sign up there, and you'll get put on a list, and eventually, hopefully, get some invites to use this really cool thing. For people getting in within a week, of course, your mileage. But yeah, I have no idea how the beta distribution is happening. So it's definitely a black box as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
I did want to hop over.
Yeah, we have a question from actually Corey in the RC.
That's where I'm going. Yep.
Asking about Windows 11.
Yep.
Plans to upgrade the inbox modules.
Yeah, so there's a question here. Hey, Windows 11 is like publicly announced now. What's going on with the inbox modules? What's happening with this? So I will say, and this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, I don't think, that's been following us for too long. These first versions of, big Windows releases are typically very focused, right? So there's going to be, a number of features that get released around the sort of vision of Windows 11. That does not necessarily mean that that's when big changes happen at other layers of the stack, right? So this is something that was very much locked down. Windows 11 has a very kind of driven set of goals around how, what they've shown off. And, those are kind of the big changes happening there. So we, PowerShell, do not have any major changes happening in the initial release of Windows 11, full stop. It's essentially locked down. They're in polish mode. We're investigating right now and having ongoing conversations on both the client and server side about how we can get closer to inbox. Right? There's the minimal PowerShell effort that we've talked about publicly, where we're trying to get much smaller, and we're trying to understand, how small can we get, because Windows does have some fairly strict storage requirements. The fact that we ship all of .NET as part of the PowerShell 7 package today would add a substantial amount of storage or disk usage to the Windows image, as opposed to Windows PowerShell, which is leveraging the .NET framework that's already there. And so we've got to go get creative about how we can get very small, as well as how we can check into non-LTS branches of Windows. So, this is not something that is definitely happening. It's not something that, we have approval and we're definitely moving forward on, but it is something that we're working very hard to investigate and explore our opportunities, there. So that might be that, we're installing from the store by default on Windows client images, or maybe offering ourselves as a feature on demand on Windows Server, or, trying to show up in box on non-LTS. There's a wide set of options that are available to us, with a lot of different pros and cons, and a lot of organizational kind of hoops to go jump through in order to make that actually happen. So we're still kind of early days on a lot of those conversations, but something, whatever the next release, big release after this initial Windows 11 push is, that's something that we really want to be there for, and try and start making progress in that direction. The Microsoft Update work is a big initial component of that, right? Oh, if you can get the thing, then now that you've got it, we'll get you updates, right? And we'll make sure that you stay up to date. But obviously, we know there's a number of folks that really want that to be in the box, from day zero, as soon as you boot the first, base image, and that totally understandable, and we want to still work towards that. So, I don't want anyone to get their hopes up that Windows 11 is this sort of panacea to every problem we've ever had, or that their first boot of Windows 11 is going to magically, have all the things that they were hoping for, because it will not. But this is a big opportunity for us, as there's sort of more moving towards more of this, always up to date model, that there's more opportunity for us to go and get PowerShell 7 in there. So.
Yeah, let me just add a couple of things. Like, I want to really emphasize something that Joey was kind of alluding to, and make it a little more explicit. Like, when Windows 11.0 comes out, don't be surprised. Like, we are not doing any major work right now. Like, the way you ship into Windows is you have to get a lot of your stuff done way ahead of time. And Windows 11 is already kind of on its move, and we've been focusing a lot of our time on 7.2 and other things. So we are looking at getting more changes happening in Windows, a future Windows 11, but probably not the first version of Windows 11. The other thing I want to touch on is Corey in the question asked specifically about some of the inbox modules that we own, specifically PowerShell Get and package management. So the intent that I have is that once we get PowerShell Get 3.0 done, and with the compatibility module, and we validate that the majority of cases, people should not notice a change other than things are working better, then the idea is that we want to replace PowerShell Get v2, that's inbox in Windows, with v3, and completely move away from the current story where package management is involved. But we're kind of still far from that right now. So again, maybe some future version of Windows 11 will have that, but it's not even like a date I can set right now. Partly because PowerShell Get 3 is still a work in progress. But
Yeah, and a lot of this is going to be dependent on our ability to, make minimal PowerShell as small as possible. And then obviously we don't want to make it so minimal that it's no longer useful to people. And so we really, we're looking at things like on-demand bootstrapping of, official modules from the gallery that are sort of the expanded versions of, say, the utility modules or, remoting, things like that. So, figuring out how to do that in a way that balances the Windows, storage requirements, with the full functionality that people expect out of the, PowerShell 7 kitchen sink, as I like to call it, getting everything is a challenge for us right now, but something that we're looking into. Apologies. Did we have any other questions that popped into that RFC issue? Anything else in the chat? Any questions from folks that we didn't answer today? We do have a few more minutes here, so if folks want to hop on to ask about anything in particular, more than welcome. I'll give it a minute or two here. Justin is apparently a huge fan of CoPilot.
No, they're like when I'm just using it, sometimes I'm very impressed by what it's predicting. It's I didn't have a canned demo ready. That's the problem.
I think you probably couldn't if you wanted to, right? I mean, the model is changing all the time, and so it's there's really not a guarantee of any kind of deterministic behavior there. But
yes, that's intentional, right? It's supposed to be machine learning. I don't see any other questions.
That's fine. We'll end a little bit early today. I really appreciate everyone hopping on the call. We had a great crowd today. As always, definitely keep your eyes peeled on the blog. We got a number of these new preview releases coming out. We can't wait for folks to try it out. Thank you, Joel. Really appreciate it. Yes, pair programming with Skynet, Keith. Indeed. Awesome. Have a great rest of your week, everyone. Enjoy the weekend. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next month. Bye-bye.
Bye.